This is a perfect example of how Christians delude themselves. The first way that they delude themselves is in the statement which is on this picture, where it is basically saying that Christians are very quick to see a natural disaster happen. And if a church is still standing or a Bible is still in place, that God's power is so great that the Bible didn't burn. The Bible stayed on the desk. The church was the only building that wasn't struck down while all the other buildings around it were struck down. But they ignore the time frames when the church is demolished by the tornado, demolished by the hurricane, burned by the fire. They ignore the time frames when your God doesn't maintain his house. Oh, well, that house of God might have been corrupted by a corrupt pastor, corrupt deacons, and so on and so forth. So there's always some excuse that then comes up. But one of the best excuses that I was hearing on my Facebook page dealing with this picture: the church might have been destroyed because the church, the body of God, the church is the people, but the cross still stood. The cross never came down. Look at how the cross is still remaining, because it's telling those people of that church that they have went away from the cross, and this is God showing them. Christians have a hard time understanding the law of cause and effect. It's a quite simple law. For every cause there is an effect, and for every effect there is a cause. Why did the cross not fall down like the rest of this church? Because the cross of this church is bolted into the cement, into the ground. It is an incredibly simple answer. Oftentimes in these type churches, when the cross is not up on the steeple, and there probably was a cross up on the steeple, the cross inside the church is bolted into the foundation of the building itself, of the church. It could have been a big circle. It could have been a big old X. It could have been any shape whatsoever. If it's bolted into the foundation, it is most likely that the hurricane or the tornado that hit this building, that whatever was bolted into the foundation is still standing, is still going to be there. It is the process by which the cross was put in place, not your God, not some God of the gaps, not some delusion that you want to bring about and put in your mind so that you can maintain your confidence in this religion. But in order to do so, you have to be willing to dupe yourself. And that is what Christians do. That is what all religious people do. They will find an excuse within their religion to justify almost everything that happens within their religion. Something as simple as this, to them taking when a person is essayed, when a child dies of cancer, all these types of things, they look for any excuse to justify their religion. And I just find this so amazing at the comments of the Christians on my page who still tried to justify this situation. The situation is unjustifiable as far as a God of the gap scenario, when the real answer is simply it was bolted into the foundation. Christians die in hurricanes, they die in car crashes, they die on airplanes, they die in any and every other kind of fashion. They lose their houses, they lose everything. Buildings are destroyed that are dedicated to these gods. Cemeteries are uprooted and caskets floating all over the place. All those things are easily explained by the laws of nature and the work of man. It's just that simple. And this is why those of us who use critical thinking, who do not allow for confirmation bias, who have an open mind for whatever the information truly lands, that's just what the information is, and we'll run with the facts instead of our fictitious characters that we've created in order to justify things that we may not be able to explain, or things that we just simply don't want to explain. This is why we walked away from Christianity. because of the idiocy of the statements people were making concerning this. Tell me what you guys think. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.